Welcome, folks, to your Reality Gurus. The show we take a commonsensical approach to issues through complex conversation. You know I'm your host, D. Cleve. And first things first, good morning, good morning, good morning. Make sure you get in the comments and say it right back. Don't be rude. Listen, we about to hit y'all with my man, Eric Randolph. About a couple weeks ago, we had this guy up here, and he was giving us some real good information. And unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, that shit is no longer here. But we're gonna ramp this stuff up again. I got my girl Shay, Anye, DB. Folks, reality gurus. Listen, since we missed that important footage that we had a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Eric Randolph, aka Post Malone, do me a favor and give us a little background on what it is that we was talking about before, man. Let us know, where you guys, where you from, brother? Talk to us.
I don't know, my name Eric. I came from Central Florida. I guess we just talked about how, a little bit about my past and what I've been through and what makes me who I am today. And I kind of explained how I consider myself pro-black and for everything that's like that. I'm married to a black woman. I raise black kids. I teach my kids black stuff. I explained that I feel like that's very important in the household, especially being in an interracial marriage. A lot of people look at those kids growing up not knowing who they are and not getting taught that kind of stuff, and look down upon them and the parents. And so I make it my point to make sure I teach my children that stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and who's playing.
Let me.
What else?
No, I got you. Let me do this. Let me give the folks a little bit of backstory. So, few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we had an episode pro-black and interracial, and Mr. Eric actually commented on YouTube, and we found out that that he is in an interracial relationship. That's not new, not anything strange, but some of the things that he was saying kind of caught my attention. How, as he explained, that he's pro-black. You see that he has dreads, his hair is locked. The neighborhood that he came from, he explained things about being around a lot of black people. And even in what's the state that you were doing your community work in?
Minnesota.
In Minnesota, right? So that was another part about the community work that she was doing, the activism that she was doing. And the thing that I thought was interesting about that is, that's not something that I normally see. And I figured I wanted to ask the question. We brought him on. He gave us some good information. Again, we lost it, but we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna revisit it. So I got my girl Shay on the show because she wasn't there last time, and actually we didn't have any female presence. So the fact that she's here today, I want to give her opportunity, man, to kind of talk to you and see if we asked all the right questions the first time. So Shay, man, now that you know that Mr. Eric, he's in an interracial relationship, he is pro-black. He does speak heavily about black issues, especially when that stuff is in the news. He also explained that he's real vocal with his children, with regard to the those issues that pertain to black people in this country. So how you feel about that? You know what I mean? How you feel about the fact that, with his skin color, I guess,
I mean, his skin color, all of it itself isn't an issue for me at all. Like I said, there's a lot of, European Americans that actually advocate or, go out there and deal with the struggle for African Americans. My concern or my question to you now would be, Eric, is this. I hear you say you talk to your children about African American culture and things of that nature. And while that is wonderful, you're still not a black man. So my thing is, what is it about your culture that you teach them? Because they're biracial children. And so therefore, while it's important for them to know the black culture, are you actually teaching them about their culture as it relates to you?
Interesting question.
Well, my culture is Italian, and growing up Italian, I don't know too much about my culture. Put out when I was very young, and my mom didn't really teach me much about being Italian. So all I know about Italian is like mafia movies and stuff like that, and pasta. And so we talk a little bit about that stuff, but again, that's not. I don't even much know my own culture like that, as you would say. So I just teach them what I do know, and or what I guess maybe not know firsthand, but what I know from experiences and books and everything else. And so I teach them that, and I teach them also about my life growing up. So not so much my culture as Italians, but we do get into it a little bit, you know, like it's on and off. But no, it's not a focus.
I mean, I think you're kind of doing, in my opinion, and again, this is just my opinion, you're kind of doing your kids a disservice by not allowing them to also know that part of themselves, because ultimately they're still part of town. And while, like you said, you educated yourself as far as African Americans through books and what you saw in your neighborhood or whatever the case may be, you still can do that as far as being Italian. In addition, I asked you before, you said that you understood the struggle. And my question to you was, how could you possibly understand the struggle when you're not an African American male? Yes, DB, the police is going to look at DB and Anye and G totally differently and treat them totally differently than they would you. So help me understand how you would understand the struggle that as African American men go through, because you're not African American male.
Well, firsthand, I can't. Simple explanation or answer to that is I can't. I'll never know what it is to be black. I won't. That's simple, plain. I have no doubts about that. I have no qualms about that. I know that. I'll never know what it is to be black. I know what it is to be treated, you know, economically oppressed and stuff like that. But as far as being black, I can't. But that's not to say that I can't empathize and feel them. That's not to say, like, can a man not be a feminist? Because he's a woman? So can a non-black person not be pro-black because he's not black?
And I think that's what I'm sorry, Shay. I think that's really what I'm wondering. Now I'm gonna ask you that question. So, you know, I hear you, I see you grilling him a little bit, but the question is, how do you feel about the fact that he does express about being such pro-black? How do you think that the Caucasian individual with that mentality, how could they be beneficial to the movement? Do you think that someone in that
Can be beneficial to the movement because they're European descent. Not for nothing. I think more Europeans get hurt overall than an African American. But now here's the thing that puzzles me, right? In essence, you kind of pushed your own race to the back burner to be pro-black. So, which kind of baffles me because you as an Italian American, right? And saying you're pro-black, which is wonderful, but you know absolutely nothing about your own race. So that's what kind of gets me on edge. Is it more of a protective thing? Is it more because of your backstory and it was African Americans that took you in after, you know what I mean, your mom put you away so you disgraced your own race? So that's where I'm trying to understand why you don't embrace your own race as much as you do African Americans.
Well, I have an answer for that, if I may.
Absolutely.
I do feel like I have looked into my own race. I do feel like my culture is Italian. I did used to embrace it a lot, but then I found out a lot of negative stuff in it, a lot of hate. And I'm the type who feels like, you know, how far would you go to eliminate the racism and the hate? Myself, I would excommunicate my whole family to eliminate it. And I have no qualms about that. And so I will, yes, look down upon my own people, my own race, because of the hatred and stuff that they do, and embrace something else. And I have no worries about that.
Fellas, I mean, lady, Shay, how you feel about that? This man just said that, on principle alone, he's not putting up with that shit. Not even, you know, for the people in his own race. DB, how you feel about that, man? Holy cow!
I don't know how to feel about that because I'm only one race.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's interesting to me because when Shay is grilling him on the knowledge of his nationality, you know, this is something that I've been focused on for the last few months because the more we talk, the more I realize that I am Jamaican. I was born Jamaican, but I came here when I was young. but I don't embrace anything about it. Just like how Eric had pasta, I had curry goat in my household, and that's all I know about my heritage. That some of not expressing your ethnicity sometimes, especially for children that come here young, is because you're not raised to know it. You know what I mean? A lot of us are not raised to know it, and that becomes a difficult thing. I can't speak for the race thing though, because that is two different things to me. Like, I think it's different to teach somebody about maybe their Italian culture and their Jamaican culture, or learn at the same time, compared to talking about a whole race of people. And that's something I can't even speak of, because I can't like Shay said, like, if me and you both get stopped, me and you, Jay, or me and you, Anya, that they're going to look at us the same. They're not going to be saying, oh, he's Nigerian, he's Jamaican, he's American black, we're black. You know what I mean? So that is hard, because we don't have that same kind of distinction.
Here's the thing. This is why it's special for me. Because I asked you the question, D. Like, could you imagine yourself, distance yourself from the black culture because they were doing something that you didn't agree with?
I'm gonna say it like this. Mainly because I have the mentality that I know a race is not one specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I can necessarily have that kind of mind state, because I could split it up like okay, this group of people, I might not necessarily deal with their ideology, but that's not to put it on the whole black culture or the black race.
Okay, but but see, understand, the thing is, he said it. So my thought is what I'm saying is, my thought is what kind of, like, I'm trying to figure out the word, like, what kind of credit would you give to say Eric, for instance, just because publicly he made it clear, what he stands on, and that out of principle alone he would distance himself and get rid of his wait. But this is the part that I want to. There's white privilege, right? That comes along. There's a privilege that comes along with, right? And distancing yourself from and identifying with, that's interesting, because that white privilege, whether you want it or not, it's there. Like, I look at it like this.
Here's, really quickly, I'm sorry. Here's my question. In retrospect, it's kind of hatred itself. And the reason why I say that is because would he still have this same ideology if your parents didn't put you out when you was younger and a black family took you in? So that's my question. Like, this comes back from when you were a younger kid, and the race in of itself, your Italian put you out, right? So that began the hatred of your race, because your own family dynamic discriminated against you, right? And so therefore, as you started seeing African Americans take you in, and how you started doing more homework about how the Italians feel about African Americans, is where it looks to me as though, you went pro-black, because that's who kind of raised you, if you will. You understand? Because would you still have this same ideology if your mother didn't put you out? So this stems back from childhood. This is not.
You know what?
Let him.
Let me say something.
Yeah, let me go.
Yeah.
But more so to me than a hatred itself. It sounds like a hatred of fucked up deeds. That's what it sounds like to me. Taking that responsibility, taking that ownership. Hey, my people did fucked up shit, and I'm denouncing that shit. We always say from time to time, like, people, you know the things that your people did to black people. How come you guys don't speak out against that? How come you guys don't denounce that? This sounds like a case of such, so I gotta give some type of props to it. Now, however he got to this is how he got to this, and that is a big testament to environment and his experience. True indeed, he'll never know 100% of what it is to be a black person in America, because he ain't black. But all we ask for in this fight is some type of allies. And when I say an ally, I define that as one that's not black, who uses his resources to help those who are in the situation that we're in. One that understands to a certain capacity, one that contributes. You know what I'm saying? One that's willing to try to do everything in his power to reverse the wrongs that are going on. So
And I want to say to some degree, I think like a good majority of people become pro-black because of their experiences with other people. Like, I mean, I think that's kind of what pushes it up. Like, if you're talking about the same thing, like involvement with the police and all that stuff, that could push somebody's mind state into being more like, you know, because Ye gave a lot of stuff recently about the Black Panther Party back in LA. When I read a lot of that stuff, a lot of stuff about the gang culture and the gang culture and movement, all of that, a lot of stuff that it was their experience. It was the experiences with the white gangs at the time, experience with the police. Everything was set up for them to push and be more pro-black, where there's always a little bit of that experience that makes you kind of take that turn to be a certain kind of way anyway.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, gentlemen. I really do. And I'm not saying that at every time, and because I don't want to feel like I'm talking around you because you're sitting right there. But I agree with that to a degree. See, you also got to understand, I look at it from the mental and emotional aspect of it all. You guys are looking at it from the environmental aspect. And I take an approach of the holistic approach. And with that being said, I'm also talking about not just his environment, his mental capacity of it all, everything. So yes, he's pro-black, and yes, I understand that, you know, individuals become pro-black based off of their experience or anti-police based off their experience and things of that nature. But at the same time, he himself is saying he doesn't know absolutely nothing, for the most part, about his own ethnicity, right? And he embraced African American ethnicity, correct? Eric, am I saying that correctly?
Well, you're kind of going over by saying I don't know anything about my own folk.
Okay, you know very, very little. Is that a better?
I know less than the other, yes.
Okay, he knows very little. Yet he took the time to learn about African American once he got taken in by African American culture. So my question is, why didn't he take that same time to get to know about his own culture?
All right. So before you listen, before hold on, Ye, before I let E answer that, what Ye just mentioned, right, about his definition of ally. I gotta ask you a question, Shay. So because I can see that argument coming from someone who was Italian or Caucasian. It sounds like as if we're looking for allies, right? The attitude should be more about, well, shit, about time we got a Caucasian to speak the way he's speaking. But the way you're talking is as if like you were on as if you were on the Caucasian side saying, well, why the hell are you denouncing your own heritage for these motherfuckers over here? Like I wanna know if you are challenging him because I mean it's weird, Shay. It's really weird if you understand what I'm saying.
Here's for me, my definition of an ally. This is just me. Now, again, an ally is someone that actually absolutely speaks up for African Americans because of the wrongdoings and how they see we are being treated and mishandled by their race, right? Get it. But my thing is, how much of it, but a lot of them also know how their race operates. You get where I'm coming from? Because they were part of that race all of their lives, you know. So therefore, growing up in the household, they heard the word, the N word used a lot, or you know, with regards to Italians, the word M used a lot in the household as far as Italians are concerned. So therefore, they learned as they went to school, as they did their environmental things, that this is not cool because they met African Americans that were not like that, and so therefore they accepted. You know what? Let me now move towards these individuals because I don't like the way my nuclear circle is treating these individuals. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
The reality of this, he didn't have that nuclear circle.
Did have that.
Huh?
Ain't it?
Right. He didn't have that.
I heard that same type of racist stuff in my household. That's why I have no problem discommunicating my whole family to get away from the racism.
Okay.
Hey man, you gotta respect that. You know what I'm saying? If the man's telling you, I have to respect it. You understand what I'm saying? And
I'm not saying I applaud you. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, don't denounce your own race and not teach your. See, again, I look at it on a different approach than some of you guys possibly can. I think the same way he teaches them about African Americans, going back to my original statement, he should also teach them about the Italian culture. Because
Can I ask a question? What do you think the accomplishment will come from him embracing his race?
that's a good fucking question, D.
You said what would do I feel would accomplish?
What do you think it will accomplish here? Say again. I'm sorry.
His kids are not. If his kids are not fully black, your children
Right.
take the race of the man. Correct? If I'm not correct.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Like if we're talking about when they go out on the street.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know his kids. I haven't seen his kids, but if they have a tinge of melanin, they might be taken just as black.
Yes.
Okay.
They do have it. You said, Eric, they do have?
Oh, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So, that I think is probably is more beneficial to teach them more about their black side, period, because of the oppression that they're going to face.
Right. Okay. Go ahead, Shay.
Absolutely, but they still have a right to know their father, who their father is, and what their father is. Their father is not black.
Oh, fuck. I just think it. Hold on.
But I understand that, and they do need that. But that's totally irrelevant to this conversation, because the foundation of this conversation is pro-blackness and the oppression that we face in America ultimately. So it's very important for them to know that and to understand that aspect. That's what we're focusing on, pro-blackness.
Okay, Shay, look, I wish I could find the fucking words to explain how I feel about what you're saying. It's weird because it's a comment or an opinion that I don't expect to hear from a melanated woman. It's just not. I don't. You are stressing. It's like I understand grilling him to find out whether you think he's a poser or not. I get that. But then after he starts to continue to speak, and you hear what he's talking about, and it's consistent, it seems like you still looking for something else. I'm like, hold on for a minute.
Conversation be any different, or what I see? I'm not a hypocrite. That's what I'm not. And I feel the same way about a black man dealing with a white woman, no different than I would feel with a white man dealing with a black woman.
Go ahead, girl. Go ahead, girl.
Therefore, would this conversation be any different if he was a black man and we were talking about his wife being white? No. I would still have the same mindset. Do you get where I'm coming from? And so, therefore, I think I made my point abundantly clear. And Eric, kudos to you. You understand what I mean? But at the end of the day, as an individual, I have nothing but respect for you. But the truth of the matter is, he's still a white male. I would still be having this conversation if it was a black man dealing with a white man.
Well, so Eric, let me ask you: do you have any doubt that you are a white male?
I don't think we have any doubt about that, obviously.
That's what I'm saying. So when you go out in the world, does that reflect? Like you understand this is what it is? Because I remember I talked before. You put yourself into certain black circles, you'll be seen as an ally, but other ones it's clear that you are a white man, and that sometimes you're treated differently. So that doesn't break away, right?
No, I mean I look at it like I don't know, like when y'all go to a room full of white people, right? They're gonna ask you a bunch of questions. You're gonna have to like prove yourself. Like, look, I belong here. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I guess that's the same way when I get into a group around a majority of black people and they want to like come down on me and ask me all this stuff. I'm not gonna curtail away or tuck my tail. Like, nah, like we can talk about it. I'm gonna show you that I have just as much room to be here as anybody else. You know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I respect that wholeheartedly. I really do.
Shay, let me. Finish.
You know, speaking of an African American woman that went to a majority, I was the only African American in my class for many years. So trust me, I get with that. You gotta prove that you belong here. But at the same time, and there's no such thing as acting black. However, you know, Caucasians say that a lot, right? So if you and let's just say DB was to walk into the room together, right? They're like, who this white boy thinking that he's black with these dreads and this and that and that. You know, what are you trying to be down? What is he trying to ostracize himself from? Whatever. And you know what I'm saying to be true, Ian. I'm not saying that you can't advocate for
Eric.
I'm not saying that, you know, you can't articulate yourself and you can't prove yourself that you've been part of the struggle. And I appreciate that because not for nothing, there's a whole lot of white people that you see on the front line more than you see than African Americans. So I get it. But what I'm saying to you is that you can't teach a black kid how to be black. That's just like me as a woman trying to teach a male how to be a male.
Yay. Yay. You're going to have to answer that one right there. How do you feel about the idea of a Caucasian man being qualified to sit in the role to raise a young prince. Talk to me, man. How you feel about that, Ye?
That's a tough struggle. You know what I'm saying? You just got to give him the best you got from what you study, from what you know, and you got to put him in some black environments, some productive black environments for him to soak up that culture. But I want to hit on the point that Shay made. You know, Shay said, you know, that her mentality is different from ours. You know what I'm saying? Somewhat, my mentality is much different too. You know what I'm saying? From a war perspective, as I discussed before, us as a people, we're already such a very small percentage in this damn country. And let's be real, most black people are not pro-black. Most black people don't care about the damn struggle. You know, so with that being said, I'm trying to get every soldier I can get and every ally I can get. Just think about being in war on a battlefield and somebody shooting at you, you get shot, you down on the damn ground. Do you really care about this? All these politics of this soldier behind you, or that he gonna pick up that gun and he gonna shoot for you? That he's down for this cause that you're fighting for right now.
All right. We gonna.
There are exceptions to the rule. Go back to every struggle we had. We'll see that we had some white allies, from the Panther Party to the Civil Rights Movement, from the Nation to Islam, and even on the plantation, from time to time, we had white allies. That's just what it is.
So let me go ahead now. Let's go ahead and let's turn the page real quick, because Jay, you said something, and now I want to open that up a bit. Because when we think about in history, you mentioned there's always been, you know, whites. Well, let's take one battle specifically. I'm going to think about the Civil War, for instance, where we already know that there was blacks and whites fighting alongside each other, right? Here's the problem. Say again.
No, I'm listening.
No, see, here's the problem for me, right? Because if you buy into the whole ally concept, and then you start saying, okay, I don't give any able-bodied individual who's thinking like us, come on along, right? This is the thing that's happened to us in this country, right? We start helping out others in their struggles, and once the victory is obtained, they disappear. Right? So yeah, when you say, I get what you're saying about having all hands on deck, but there's something to be learned about history. I like for us to be doing our own shit, funding our own struggle, fighting our own struggle, right? Not to say that there's not going to be any, you know, black agents in here or nothing like that, but at the end of the day, once the victory is over, bro, we don't feel stupid if white people turn around and say the hell with you. Think about you man, think about these moves. You can think about shit in recent history. You could think about how these black women was jumping onto this woman march, and how they raised all kinds of money, and they was still not focusing on the agenda as far as black women are concerned. This is what I mean. Like, this is why I got to be careful about just saying bring everybody who's thinking like us. You feel me?
This is why we have to be specific about what we're talking about. Allies jumping on our battle with us. They're helping out our cause, and us saying that we need to learn from history that we're not going to jump into this cause and take over this cause. You know what I'm saying? This cause is going to be focused on this cause. You dig what I'm saying? So that's ultimately we got to learn from history.
That's what I like about Eric, though.
I kind of agree with Eric as far as the word allies. And the reason why I say that is because, like, the devil in sheep clothing. And the reason why I say that is if you think about the Tuskegee Airmen, right? And you go back as that far. And you talk about it because you brought in the military and how they were using these men to test syphilis. Those were they were on the battlefield. But what ended up happening to them when they no longer needed them? And so, therefore, I think, I'm going to take your position, and it's ironic, right? That I'm going to take your position that I'm very, very careful when I use that word allies. Because as DJ Khaled would say, trust no one, trust no man.
DJ Khaled.
All said and done, right? Anybody can be bought. It just depends on the price. And my thing is, who's your ally today can be your foe tomorrow. So therefore, I am not using that word ally. Yes, you may be there for the struggle in that time, in that moment, doesn't necessarily make you my ally.
I want to go back to something, Shay, because I don't want to forget this part. Why do you think it's so important for? Because I know, as far as we're concerned, in the struggles that Black people have done in this country, why it's important that we teach our, children, our heritage and stuff. Why do you think it's so important that a white male teaches his children about their history, specifically as far as the ancestry, as far as Italian is concerned? Why do you care if he does that? Just out of curiosity.
You don't know your past. You don't know where you're going.
I got you, but why do you care whether he teaches his children, this white man? Excuse me, Eric. You understand what I'm saying? But why do you care whether he teaches his kids what he needs? Why do you care?
They're going to grow up to be adults.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, those same adults sit in my chair and don't understand where they come from and don't understand why, people feel the way they feel about them. Or when they get around their Italian families, and now when they get older, they want to say, oh, I'm part Italian, or I'm part this. And you can't tell them nothing about your race. Absolutely nothing. Now they're sitting in my chair because their self-esteem is low. Or they started using drugs because, their family disengaged them or abolished them. Because while I understand that your daughter's mother, that side of the family, embraced them, they still miss that other side of the family. So while we talk about now, we don't look at the long-term effects that it can have on a child.
Okay, but I'm with that, but let's stop bullshitting here. We got a bunch of Black children with 2 Black parents that are lost as fuck culturally.
Absolutely.
And that are lost as fuck when it comes down to history. You know what I'm saying? So I mean,
let's call a spade a spade. You got people that are trying to be citizens that know more about this country than we do because they got to take this test that we supposed to have learned during this.
Yeah.
I get it. What I'm saying to you still is this: a white man cannot teach a queen how to be a queen. Do you see what I'm saying to you? Because and Eric, I don't make no allowances about your fatherhood. You're probably one of the best parents out there. I'm not saying that you aren't. But what I'm saying is you can't teach a Black man how to be a Black man. I can't teach a Black boy how to be a Black man. Although I'm a Black woman, I can tell them what I think they should be like. He can teach them what he read in the textbooks and what it should be like, but he himself can't teach them.
Yeah. Well. First, hold on. So Eric, man, when it comes to speaking up on issues, well, put it like this: how you feel about what she's saying about you, man? The fact that you're not teaching your kids about your Italian heritage. Well, how do you feel about that?
I don't know. I mean, they get it from, I guess, when they go see their grandma.
Okay, so they are active in there's other. Okay, all right. As long as other relatives see them.
I'm a bit confused.
And this is the importance of why we shouldn't be putting it all on the parents in the household. When we look at our culture, our history, it was always about the village and what the village gave to that child.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the father isn't there, if the mother isn't there, even if they're not capable, someone was right next to them to step up and give them that. We're putting too much on parents alone in this society.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, we want to talk about teaching white, right? Isn't all history they teach you in school white anyway? Like,
absolutely.
Why do they need to re-get that at home? Why don't they get something better or to combat that at home than to allow them to continue to nail that white history in at home? Like, let's give them something different. Let's show them the truth that what we know, instead of allowing the schools to do our job, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it is our job to teach our kids. They are our children, not the government.
And can I ask a question? Is there a distinction that's to be made here? Because I can understand maybe teaching more of your Italian culture a little bit more, but we keep on saying white compared to Black. That's something they're going to learn in America anyway. Exactly. They're going to be treated a certain kind of way. So are we just mixing that in? Are we mixing the Italian to the racial aspect, or can we split that up? Because there is a difference. There is a clear difference.
No, I'm not talking about learning white America. Christopher Columbus discovered America and all that. Cool. I'm talking about said you abolished your heritage, correct? Or your family because of the racism. But yet, just a minute ago, you said that your kids go to their grandmother. So help me understand that.
They do. I was put out probably around 14, so my mom was pretty much the black sheep of her family.
Okay.
So then that kind of made me the black. I don't know what that means, the sibling of the sheep, whatever. And then so I didn't have much communication with the rest of her family.
Okay.
I said, let me start even before that. So none of that happened. And then like when I was 13, I was getting into trouble. My mom put me out, sent me to go live with my dad. I was raised single family household. She sent me to go live with my dad in Mexico. While I was there, he passed away. So I already didn't know his side of the family, but then when he died, they completely excommunicated me. So I know nothing about my dad's side, heritage, anything. So I moved back to my mom. About half a year later, she put me out, and then I was on my own, having to do whatever, got in with people. People took me in, whatever. Well, for a long time, until I was like 21 or something, I didn't speak to my mom or anything. Like, when she found out I had a kid, she found out it was a black child. She called all kinds of N-words and all this kind of stuff, right? So I just completely cut off and then talk to her. And then I got with my wife now, and I used to tell people, man, my mom and my dad, they both passed. But I got with her, and she pulled it up out of me, and she's like, I can't be with no one who don't got no kind of relationship with their mama, right? So she drove me to get back in touch with my mama. And so we started talking again. And so now me and my mama are on the communication. So we talk. So now me and my mama are back, pretty copacetic, pretty cool, right?
I could dig that.
There was still a lot of different racism inside the household with her mom. When my mom would take my child to go see her parents, her mom never saw my child. She would lock herself in the back room and wouldn't see my child until she died. She died, never seen her grandbaby, right? Just because of the racism. And so while I do have contact with them now, I'm not I feel with them like that. Like, but yeah, they are in my life now.
But now that I understand more of the backstory, and this is why I was asking these questions offline, so that I can understand the backstory. And so all of you guys ended up being a black sheep. You ended up being a black sheep because your dad is Mexican and your mother stepped outside of her race, right? So this is kind of a generational thing. Do you see what I'm saying to you? So your mom was Italian, correct? Your dad is Mexican.
No, my dad's Italian. My dad's Italian.
Oh, your dad just happened to live in Mexico.
New Mexico.
Oh, okay.
There.
So you became the black sheep of your family. Why? That's where I'm kind of confused at. If you're fully Italian, why did you become the black sheep?
My mom was a black sheep of her family. You dig? So because she was a black sheep of her family, by relation, I'm also the black sheep of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, which makes your children the continuation of that black sheep.
Well, no, it just made my children literally black, and so they didn't like it.
So okay, so now here's my thing. Now that you trust that they're black and they didn't like them, but you're telling me now that they still visit.
Yeah, I'm my bad. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. You say, as far as the visitations are concerned, you know what I mean. I'm just trying to figure out where the comfort level comes from. It is. I know these are blood relatives, but they made it clear that they're not really cool with that situation. I don't know if over the years they've lightened up, become a little more progressive or something like that. But I'm saying, I'm just trying to figure out, where do you feel comfortable, and your wife feel comfortable to kind of just send your kids that these relatives don't really care for, or kind of explain that to me. Open that up to me. How are you comfortable doing that though? How are you comfortable sending your children to places with people who have issues with them?
That makes sense. I guess it's a trust thing. I guess like you believe that your family not gonna do bad, or also it comes to the fact that you hope that you raise them to a way that where they can withstand some of that hatred, or they can see it, and the person that you instilled in them with your own teachings that they can overcome that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And
it's an interesting strategy.
I never really thought of that, right? Like if they said that kind of stuff, right? But then it goes back to everybody's family that says some messed up stuff, right? So why you still messing with them?
Yeah, I'm thinking. I was thinking more along the lines of
But yet,
allowing them. Say again.
got the again.
No, I'm saying it to me. Uh, I thought you were going to say more along the lines of me allowing my children to come over there to see their great grandparents will allow for the relationship to develop, because a lot of times these attitudes are based on shit you hear, shit you see. A lot of it ain't on. A lot of it is not always on personal interaction. So you get to know, say, a black person, and you're like, oh, all black people are not bad. You understand what I'm saying? One of those things. So I thought you were going to go more along those lines. Listen, let's try to get you guys to see differently. Let me bring my kids over here. Let you see how they are. I've had a hand in raising them. You see what I'm doing with my life. I mean, I don't know, but either way, hopefully, being that you are doing that, you're still letting them go over there and see their grandparents. Hopefully that does work. It bridges the gap, opens it up, the conversation, and changes their minds a little bit, if not specifically for just their grandchildren.
Too, man. I
Yep.
think sometimes I could work reverse, only because I think about situations I had with my own son when he went certain places and he would come back different.
Mhm.
Where I wonder, if you have those conversations with your children, like if you see any differences in them with the interaction they have with that side of the family, because sometimes there could be certain experiences, certain things they hear that they keep hitting that could kind of be damaging a little bit.
That was what I was thinking. That's the part that I was a little afraid of sending them over there to this area where people that just they don't like them. You have no idea, unless you're actually present. You don't know what they're experiencing. A lot of times, when we find out kids have been molested for years, and we don't find out that shit until years later. They keep that stuff bottled up. You know what I'm saying? But again, I can't say that. I put like this. I encourage that what it is that you're doing. Hopefully,
I hope that I instilled in them some stuff that they can overcome.
that's the thing too.
As a parent, that they can stand tall on that kind of stuff.
And I hope so too, for their sake and their whole mental capacity growing up. My only thing to you is, hence why I said to you, while they're going to visit their grandmother, it's imperative that you in the household teach them about that culture, because if you don't, and this is just me, take it for what it's worth. If you don't, and if they're only hearing, because you said she had no problems using the word in the N word and all of that stuff when you were there. So if she's there using those words, do you get where I'm coming from? You would probably never know. And my thing is, you don't want them to end up hating the Italian part of who they are, because at the end of the day, they're still part Italian. You don't want them to end up hating part of who they are based off of the interaction that you had with your mother.
It's deep.
So
Or grandparents, though, right?
that's why I say to you, it's very important for you to teach them also about that race, because if they start having this mentality that they dislike Italians based off of your mom, right? Then what happens if they come across and they go to college and their roommate is Italian? You get where I'm coming from? It's good to know different cultures regardless of who you are. I can tell you about the Indian culture, the African culture. I can tell you about this firsthand because I've been to these countries. Do you see what I'm saying? The Korean culture. I can tell you about these cultures. But my thing is, I don't live it. I'm not Indian. I'm not, Korean. I'm not that. I only know based off of what other people tell me. But because you are Italian, right, it's imperative that you find out from, like you said, and not the superficial Italian things, but what you learned. The same way you took the time to learn about African American, you should take the time to learn about your own culture, because that's who they are. And what you're doing is shading them from who they are.
Right.
I mean, here, all right. So, I mean, I can't even now. I feel weird because now I'm, trying to put myself in a white guy's, position, raising black children, because I want to answer your question, so to speak. But I mean, like, Shay.
Say again?
I said you can't answer it. So the only person that can answer that is you.
I don't know. Why can't I teach them that Italian can change and think about black issues? Like, not all Italians are the same. Just like if you teach my culture isn't necessarily my culture. Like, because I'm Italian doesn't mean I have that culture. The descent and culture, I don't believe are the same thing.
Mhm.
Just because you're a certain descent doesn't mean you're part of that culture. And
Correct. I agree with that.
all descents have three cultures anyway. All descents even within like West Indies or something, there's like 10 different cultures within West Indies, right? And like there's all different type of cultures. Even with the same Spanish people, not all Spanish people do the same thing, right? And so like not all Italian people do the same thing. So when I teach them, if I'm gonna teach them Italian, I'm gonna have to teach them. The only thing I can teach them is my life. That's the only thing I can teach them is what I know about my life. And so I can't teach them my culture per se if that's not my culture. You feel what I'm saying? You feel what I'm saying? I can't give them something that I don't feel, that I don't study, that I don't know. And so all that would be just buying into the hype. I got to teach you this because I'm this descent. Like, you know, you're Italian. You see it in the texture of your hair. You see it in the lightness of your skin. Like, you're Italian. Like, you're part Italian, right? Like, that's your descent. Like, if you want to go into yourself and figure out what that culture is like, because you want to feel something towards that culture or want to become that culture, then I'm all for it. I let my children express themselves any way they want, and I try not to give them any kind of what's my culture? American.
Okay.
That's my culture. Like, I was raised in America, Southern, dirty South. That's my culture. Dirty South. That's what I would say.
Culture. What do you practice? What are your beliefs?
As far as what? Like, this is an open-ended question. Like,
absolutely. So therefore, I want you to open. There's a reason why I left it as an open-ended question versus a closed-ended question. So what are your beliefs?
I don't know even where to start. I believe in there's a higher being. I believe that there's a if you want to call it a God. I don't believe it has a gender or a race. I believe that to put a gender or a race on a God is to diminish its power, and my God is infinite and eternal. I believe in energy of the universe. I believe in what you put out, you get back.
So that's your spirituality. What is your beliefs?
That's part of belief. What you mean?
All right, so
again, I'm not understanding the question. I'm sorry. My ignorance is not understanding the question. Please explain.
Okay, no, you're not being ignorant. I'm just saying, you're saying that's your spirituality, and I get that. And you're saying within the Italian, there's different descents, there's different cultures and things of that nature, right? So not actually your culture, you said American, right? And you just made a statement that inside of all the West Indies and all of these other places, there's different cultures, right? But then when I asked you what your culture was, you said American. So you just did the same asinine statement that you just said a minute ago when you said inside of...
No. So let me, because I don't, it's a fair question for the fact that, again, like I could kind of relate on the fact of I was born in Jamaica. I don't know shit about the Jamaican culture. I know being raised in the Bronx. I know hip hop. I know, being a black man in America, like that is essentially part of my culture. And I think that's part of what he's saying. I think to kind of try to narrow it down, you have to be more specific in the question, because your experiences is part of your culture. That's part of how you respect.
Okay, so what do you teach when you're at home, right? What do you teach your children as far as you teach them pro-black, right? You teach them pro-black, right?
Yes.
Okay, but what experiences as a white man do you teach them as being pro-black? Like, what experiences could you say as a white man that black people go through?
Again, simple question. I can't, because I'm not black.
Right.
I can't teach them how it feels to be black because I'm not black. What I can do is I can tell them, maybe not even teach them, but I can tell them to be proud in their blackness, and that it is not a bad thing, and that the way systematically they've been taught in the system of white is pure and black is bad, to catch these little subconscious little plights that they give us every time you watch a show, like Snow White or anything like that. Give them these little things so that when they get out in the public, they can handle themselves. And an example, like, I was so happy the other night. I went out with my daughter to a art festival, art opening at a gallery or whatever, and this white guy was talking to her about this painting. It was an abstract painting. He's like, "Oh, this is such a great painting. I really like it." And she's like, "Well, what do you like about it?" And he was like, "Oh, it's like chaos, and there's all these different colors, and like the white is the good and the black is the bad, right?" And my daughter stopped him and was like, "Hold on. Now, why does the black have to be the bad? Why is the white the good? That doesn't make sense to me. Can you explain it to me?" Had him backing up like, "Oh, well, maybe it's not. Maybe, okay, well, let's say the black is the good and the white is the bad, and this and third, right?" So I try to telling these things that they can catch these little subtleties that people click on about how bad they are, so that they can see for themselves, what they say is not really what they mean behind it.
Absolutely. And I applaud you for that, because when I was in college, I actually had a diversity class, and my teacher told us line up in color order. And then we were sitting there like comparing skin colors, right? And she said, well, where's the beginning of the line? And ironically, because of how we were trained, we all said the lighter people was at the beginning of the line and the darker people was at the end of the line. And she said, well, who's to say the line doesn't start in the middle? Or who's to say the line? I mean, it was very, very, very eye-opening in how we've been brainwashed. But one thing that I caught that you said that is you teach them how it's good to be black and how to be black is to be proud. But you never once said you also teach them how to be Italian and how to be Italian is proud. Because they're both races.
I don't care about that.
You don't care.
I don't care about that. It doesn't matter. That isn't. So what?
I'm gonna say, Shay. I'm gonna say it again. Why is it so important?
That's who you are. Here's what I say.
But here, stop. Here's the thing. He's telling you who he is, Shay. He's telling you who he is. That's why I'm not understanding why you keep stressing the whole Italian part, because he's already telling you what he identifies with and why. Listen to what I'm saying though. He's explained. It's the same way why I asked the question about when you start talking about the word nigga, right? And in its ER form or A form, whatever you say. When you have, individuals, Caucasians, who are around, let's say, a group of black people, and they're, using that word, right, with the A and then or whatever, and these black guys around him allow that. Now, you start asking yourself that question. There should be no white person that should be saying those words. You know how people are, right? But now we start talking about nuances where shit gets a little gray. I'm gonna ask if these black guys allow him to say that around them. I mean, listen, that's what they do. I'm trying to understand why you keep pointing at him and saying why is he not adopted to his Italian side if he's telling you that throughout his upbringing, everything that he's went through, right? The people who have embraced him are the people that he's fucking with. The people who didn't are the people he's distanced himself from. Now, the culture he identifies with is, as you can see. So why do you keep stressing that Italian shit? He just told you he don't give a fuck.
It goes back to what Anya said when he says the ally, right? Anya, you used the word ally, and we look for allies to lead more into the movement, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. See, this is where I say, and not saying this is necessarily you, but this is where I think outside the scope. If someone doesn't want to embrace who they are, how could you truly embrace something that you're not? And
Yikes.
my thought process. Do you understand what I'm getting at?
No,
Fair question.
I think we're kind of like mixing so much into this conversation. Like, again, I understand the fact of them being part Italian and learning about their Italian heritage. I do not necessarily think that has much to do with being a biracial kid in America. Their knowledge of black and white in America is going to come from their experiences, and him teaching them, at least trying to give them the information about how biracial and straight black kids are treated in America is what they need to survive more than anything else. Them learning that identity that they're basically going to go by once they get out there in the world is more important than the white aspect of it. I think the Italian aspect is something completely different. That's something.
But how can he teach them what black people are going to go through if he's not black?
He can't. But he can't do that. Like, he can't teach them the experiences. He could just teach them by the experiences as it comes along. So, like how he mentions when they see certain things and they start discussing the situation that's happening to another black person, right? Say like you have a Martin. You could tell them about that situation, about their aspect to it, find where they're going from, and find out their experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Because part of their identity is what they're going through now, which is not something that you're actually going through. You can only take them so far anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I teach them where their identity is within this time and frame, which a lot of people don't do, whether you're black or white. You don't teach your kids anything about their identity. It's their identity crisis that comes within their place in this world. So when it comes to them growing up in this world as a biracial child, what you got to teach them more is about their interaction between white and black and who they are between those interactions. You know what I'm saying? That Italian shit is something completely different. That's family heritage. That is something, if they want to know, you can teach, but that's something also, if you don't know it, you can't teach it. I can't teach somebody my Jamaican culture besides a little bit of information that I know because I don't know it to a full degree. I can ask my mama, and I'll come back to you. But you know what I'm saying? I can't teach you to a certain degree.
Let's do this.
About heritage, that got nothing to do with your race, especially living within America.
Let me add.
I agree with you, sweetie. I do, but he sought out to learn about African American culture.
I see where you're going. I see where you're going. I see where you're going. I see where you're going.
Hold on. If he sought out to read and learn about African American culture, why didn't he set out the same exact way to learn about himself?
Here's a question, Ye.
Biracial kids. For me, if I had biracial kids, it makes sense as the kid that when they go out there to be black.
Hold on, Shay. Let me help you out with this. Take the biracial situation out of it. Ye, let me ask you this, brother. Again, we constantly talk about how the fact that we don't talk about our heritage and where we truly come from in our households. Correct? That's one of the biggest gripes that you have. So let me ask. So with Shay asking this question, how would you be able to trust a potential ally if they know if they're not? If think about it this way, how you feel about a black man who doesn't want to identify with his African heritage? You specifically.
How do I feel about that? Well, it depends on what type of fight we fighting at. It depends on his dedication towards that fight. Because I know that it would be completely ignorant of me to paint everybody with this broad brush, with everybody with this specific criteria. And this is what Pan-Africanism teaches. We're gonna come from different political ideologies. We're gonna come from different backgrounds, but we must stand on the foundation of blackness, of this Africanness. This is what we're fighting on. I'm not going to turn you away because you're a black Christian. I'm not going to turn you away because of your experience growing up in Utah or whatever. But if you can stand on this one firm foundation, I can fight with you, brother.
Right. So, but the reason that I asked, what I'm saying is, I'm talking about someone who is not identifying with African heritage at all. So because what I'm okay, so all right, so let's have this is the question I'm trying to help Shay out a little bit here. How do you trust somebody like that? How do you trust someone who doesn't even care as much about their own heritage but claims they care about yours? Like how do you trust someone like that, especially when you flip it?
Hear from his stories that he's tied in negativity into his culture and he's trying to separate himself from that. I got homies that grew up like that, who grew up in the gang culture where their whole family was banged out. I mean, literally, they mama, they daddy, they cousins, they whole neighborhood. And they say, you know what, I don't want that life. That is negative. I know I grew up in that bloodline, in that neighborhood, and everybody expected me to be from the hood, but I want something better for my life. So I'm not dealing with that. Yeah, they still my family. I understand that, but I'm not fucking with them at all because that is negative, and I don't want that. And in parallel, that's what I hear in his argument.
All right, but Anya, let me ask you a question, right? What you said is as far as the negativity of gang life and stuff like that. So they separated themselves from that type of gang life, negativity, things of that nature. But they didn't separate themselves from their blackness. You see what I'm saying to you? So they just started dealing with
I'm not saying all these people are pro-black. Because remember, every black person is pro-black.
But you're still not answering the question, Anya. The question is this, right? If there was an African American man, and Eric, let's say Eric was an African American man, and he came on here and said, my parents did this to me, and so therefore now I have a white wife, right? And I don't want to deal with African Americans because I think that they're this, they're that, they're that. I embrace myself as a white person, and I'm looking at the white culture, and I teach my kids about the white culture and the white this and the white that. How would you?
Holy shit, yay!
I would feel that individual is a product of his experience in life. We would have to assess that on a case by case scenario.
But that's no different than what Eric is saying.
But yes, it is. For the fact you're talking about, I mean, that basically is not a question for us, man. That's a question for white people, like how they feel about it. Because if they're black, basically, and we're talking about accomplishing something for black people, if they don't identify themselves as black, then they basically not going to be for black cause anyway.
And they should leave this conversation.
Exactly. he's the reverse. So basically, that's the question for white people. Then, how do white people feel that Eric is kind of?
So
It seems to excommunicate themselves.
ultimately, to answer your question, G, that is the foundation of this conversation and the answer to your question. Because he wants to fight for blackness, and he's giving us his resume. You know what I'm saying? He's telling us what he is, what he does. If people can vouch for that, I don't understand why it's a problem with him being an ally and being.
All right. So let me ask a question. I don't know if this is on the same thing, or if this might not be like strongman fallacy or whatever. But would you trust a Muslim who has been baptized?
Trust him.
Converted to become a Muslim.
Trust him is trust. But hold on, when you say
Would you want that person to teach their kids Christianity because that's what they grew up as, or to teach their kids Muslim religion?
Okay, so let me answer you this. I'm Baptist, and my first kid's father is Muslim. Now, he wanted to convert me to the Nation of Islam, so I know the Fatima and Arabic and everything of that nature. So I studied Islam. However, I'm Baptist. My kids have been to church. My kids have been to the mosque. Understand this. My kids have Muslim names. I would not allow my kids to say one religion is better or worse than the other religion. So therefore, I taught them both religions and allowed them to choose which religion they wanted to practice. Right? Some of my children chose not to practice any religion because they don't believe there's a God. They believe there's a spiritual power. Whatever the case may be. Some of them don't embrace it one way or the other. But what I'm trying to say to you is I still gave the opportunity to teach them both. What you're saying is you didn't teach them both. You only taught them one. And so, therefore, that's like saying, if you want to use that as a parallel example, that I allow my kids to know what their mother and their father is as far as their religion. So they understand both, and they made that choice. You, on the other hand, for what I'm hearing you say, is that I taught my children all about being African American, but I'm not teaching them about being Italian. When in actuality, they are part Italian. And so, therefore, all I'm saying to you is, how could you possibly teach them one side of that, who they are, but don't teach them the other? That's all I'm saying.
Because I don't. I just don't, because, I mean...
That's real. So this goes back to my personal view of why I don't do interracial relationships. Because the reality of it is this. What intends to happen is one culture or one ethnic background gets overshadowed by the other. My thing is, I've always said it, and I'm gonna keep saying, I'm gonna always keep saying it. I'm not pro-black, where I'm only gonna shop in a black store and all of this stuff. I just won't deal with pink personally. That's me. You understand what I mean? Doesn't mean that somebody else won't. Don't mean I'm gonna teach your children any differently. But it's still a matter of something that I personally believe that they should know. And I can't consider someone an ally if they're discrediting their own race. Because not for nothing, black people aren't all great kumbaya individuals either. We have our own segregation in our own race. We have light skin versus dark skin in our own race. We have economic differences. We have a whole lot of differences in the African American race, just like you have it in your Italian race. So we're no better than the other race. Yes, we are segregated. Yes, we are, disenfranchised to some degree. And yes, we are treated differently because of our melanin and all of that stuff. But at the same time, within our own culture, we have problems. So the same way within your culture, you have problems. Or within your religion, you have problems. I'm not your religion. Your background, you have problems. That's just my opinion. I heard the gentleman talk to you about that. You know what I mean? I appreciate that you fight the good fight, but in my opinion, until you start embracing who you are for real, I couldn't look at you as an ally. I look at you as somebody that's part of the struggle. That's somebody that doesn't have a problem being on the forefront based off of the experiences that they looked at. I would never consider you an ally.
Say that again, Ye.
Respect that.
The example she gave in the end, that's an ally, man. That's...
No, well, okay, but hold on. Now we're talking about two different definitions. By your definition, you were more focused on the fact of what they bring, resources and things of that nature. But Shay's definition of ally is different. That's the reason why I think there's a differences of opinion there. I agree. Here's the thing. Go ahead, say it again.
I was just saying that's why it's so hard for us to get somewhere, because we all have different definitions. We're in this big ball of confusion trying to figure this thing out. Everybody's trying to do it their specific way. We're not taught this one way of how to get to liberation. So we're always in this ball of confusion of I think it's this way, I think it's this way, I think it's this way.
Well,
we never get to a solution.
Let me say this. Let me open that up because Jay hasn't said a whole lot, and I wanna provoke him to start saying some shit right now before we go to final thoughts. So then, with that being said, yeah, here's my problem with that, because that's a general theoretical statement, right? But then when you put it into actually put it into play, and you pay attention to what's going on, you yourself, I remember when the Colin Kaepernick situation was going on, right? Initially it was one of these. Then we started to see some things happen. The money, the deals, the Nike thing, and then your mind started to change a bit. Here's my question. If you, right, in the beginning, when you see, say, an Eric, and you're just paying attention to the shit that he's telling you, you get enamored by the stuff that's coming out of his mouth, as far as the activism, the stuff he's doing in the community, right? But Shay, on the other hand, is taking a different approach. Nah, Miss Motherfucker, I'm not giving you no badge until I really know you about this shit. She starts to peel everything away, not allowing to embrace a Colin Kaepernick and then see him do some questionable shit, and now you got to backtrack. You understand what I'm saying? I appreciate someone digging deep for the poser up front, as opposed to just listening to what they're saying, watching a couple of things they doing, because there's agents and everything, bro.
Absolutely.
I said that in the Colin Kaepernick video. I said that in our last tape, and I said that in the tape that got messed up. That we do need to dig into a person's past. We do need to check their resume. We do need to talk to people that grew up with this person. I'm never just giving no one a pass on just what they're presenting in front of me today. Studying revolution has taught me this. With Colin Kaepernick, we did not know his backstory. That was the problem that I had with him. We didn't know people from his past to tell us about him. So even I questioned him in the beginning. I said, it looks good, but I don't know. I can't stand behind it 100% unless I can have a conversation with that man personally, see what his mind is.
Okay.
So, Anya, I have a question for you really quickly, right? So let's say we blacked out Eric's face, and we never knew Eric was a white man, right? And everything he said, he came up and said it. I did this in Michigan, I did that, I did this. I teach my kids African American, but all of this great, wonderful stuff that Eric said.
Minnesota.
And we never knew he was white, right? Would you be on board?
No, I would still say I need to talk to the people that you work with. Let's go back to your hood. Let me talk to the people that you came up around with. I'm checking your resume no matter what your color is, because COINTELPRO has snuck black agents into the movement as well.
Okay. So with that being said, you consider Eric an ally. So, that's my question.
I said it sounds like an ally. If what he tells us is true. That's what I said specifically.
Okay. Well, for me, and that's why I said I think our definitions of an ally is different, and that's why I asked you that question. Because my thing is, I would want an ally that also embrace who they are, as long as now knowing who they are and moving forward, as far as I don't like this, I don't like that, and so because I know this is where I'm going. This is somebody that just kind of shut this way and then go that way. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, you got me, Shay. I swear, man, you got me thinking a little bit more about that, because let me tell you why. Because if you think about, let's think about, abolitionists, some of these white abolitionists. I'm pretty sure they knew their own fucking ancestry. They understood where they came from, where their place was in society, and everything. And they still was able to understand, because of their intellect and where they were in their position in society, understood that these people over here needed this assistance, and so they jumped on board with the movement. There's a difference when you talk about someone who doesn't understand or doesn't adopt to their heritage, their ancestry. There is a bit of a difference. I'm not saying that you throw Eric out or people like that out, but that is a valid argument. Now that I think about it more and more, it's a valid fucking argument that someone that it's a valid argument. Now that I think about this shit, man. I'm sorry, Shay. Honestly, I'm sorry. I was pointing fingers.
still don't link it to the race specifically, but I understand the heritage part, and that's why I keep on saying that. But I don't necessarily link it completely to the race. But I do
because at the end of the day, man, right? Ye, as an ally, the only thing that they really can bring to the table is resources and like labor and right. So if that's all they can, if that's all they can bring, then we're not as excited about the whole adopting the black culture, so to speak. We just want to know that you here to assist with getting us where we are. I need. So so
Exactly.
so listen.
Whether or not you're going to loan your resources, whatever your resources is, whether it be your money, whether it be your building, whatever your resources is, that you're going to loan to the cause because you believe that this to be true. That's it. Me personally, that's just me. You understand? My thing is, it's one thing, okay, yeah, I'm on the front line. Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. But what are you really doing? Do you really know why you're shutting your people off? Do you know why we're really fighting this fight? Do you really understand? And is it because you really understand it based off of, you knowing your culture, you knowing your background, you knowing what it is that you guys have been doing as a culture is wrong? Do you see what I'm saying to you? Versus, oh, I was just ostracized from my culture, and this is the culture that picked me up, and so therefore I'm all on their runway.
That's man. Now you cooking. Now you fucking cooking, Shay. Woo.
Here's my thing, right? With that being said, it's no different than it's paying to the hot top dollar. Because if I pay you to jump from bandwagon to bandwagon, my loyalty better this way. So if you came and showed you better loyalty than African Americans, what you're telling me is you'll dismiss African Americans and jump on Jewish people because they showed you more love, or they showed you more attention, or they embraced you more, or whatever the case may be. I'm not saying that that's hard.
No, I'm just saying. If that would have happened when I was at that vital age of development in my brain, yeah, I can totally say yeah, that'd probably happen. If I was in a total another area, if I was in New Mexico and got picked up by the Chicanos, I would have been all brown pride, But it didn't happen that way. What happened was the way my life happened was the way it happened, and I got.
I get it.
Into the Southern Blacks, and then that's the one I'm rocking with. And now that I'm fully, but see, now that I'm fully,
hold on, Shay. Let me just finish that point real quick. Let me finish that point.
Sorry.
Finish that point, Eric.
Now that I'm fully developed, doesn't mean that I'm gonna flip. You know what I'm saying? Like now that everything happened the way it happened, I'm solid in my beliefs. But at that time, at that developmental time of your life, at that age, hell yeah, it could have been anybody could have picked. I could have been neo-Nazis. I could have come out as a skinhead.
Facts.
I don't know. Like it is what it is. But we are nothing but an accumulation of our experiences. And my experiences led me to what I am and who I am today. And there's a lot behind a lot of what you say, and I appreciate what you're saying because I really do, and it makes a lot of sense. You got to know who you are before you can decide not to be who you want to be.
And that's right.
And I did.
Right.
And I do know, and I did research, and I did look at my own culture growing up. Yes, I don't teach it to my kids, and so that's why I think this is because I did look at that, but I don't teach them. But I think that you're kind of bringing up the fact that I don't even know anything about it at all either, which I don't know a lot about it. Correct, I did say I don't know a lot about it, but I did look into it enough, like maybe not as deep as the black culture, but growing up in it and researching it on my own, I know about my culture. Don't get me wrong, I'm not super ignorant. I might say things a little fast. I might say things so I don't have to expand and expound on multiple stuff, but it's not like I just don't know anything about who I am and I chose to jump and be someone else. Like,
no, I get that. So let me ask you a question. And since you're very brutally honest, I want to see how honest you're gonna be. Let's just say you're walking down and a gang member, a group of black African American gang members came and whooped your ass and damn near to oblivion you were dead, damn near. Mm-hmm. And let's just say Jewish, right? Did all of these great, wonderful things to you and started teaching you something different. Even knowing what you know, do you think you would flip?
Right now? Hell no. The black race didn't jump me. A group of black people jumped me. Like,
I was just curious to know what your thought process was behind.
Yeah, no.
No, it's clear. It's clear.
I'm not new to this. I've been jumped. I've been robbed at gunpoint. I've been shot at. I've been all that stuff by black people. Like, I've been questioned, grilled 10 times harder than this by black people. Like, I'm not. It doesn't matter to me. Like, there's always gonna be people who ain't gonna embrace, who ain't gonna feel, who don't care. You know what I'm saying? Who feel a certain way. And
so then why do you feel
everybody has their own way they gotta think. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm gonna continue to do what I know I need to do for what I believe is the betterment. And that's only by listening to what other people say. And while I got like tens of thousands of people, I got 10 people like this, I got other people like that. You know, everybody has their own everybody has their own feelings about things. You know what I mean? And so I don't know.
Let's
my question, and this is a little bit complex to me. You feel strongly like black people did all these things for you, right? But yet you still steadfast in the black struggle.
Yeah.
And why wasn't you? Hold on. Why didn't you?
Oh God.
Jeez. I don't care about that. Because I chose my side. I'm sticking with it.
Again, going back to the whole concept of an ally, we just need people to contribute to the struggle. We're not asking Eric to lead the struggle.
I ain't trying to lead.
Exactly.
We know, Eric.
Hold up. If I'm a company and I want investors, I can give a fuck about their background. Just give me your money to contribute. It's bigger than it is. If I'm a homeless man on the street and I have no food, I can give a fuck about your background, your mentality, and all of that. I just need food right now. I need to stay alive right now.
So you think? Oh well.
I don't want nobody giving me money on the front end and on the back end trying to pull away from me everything that I accomplished because they gave me that money.
And this is why history has taught us you don't place people in that leadership role. If they're just contributing resources to you and you don't give them power within this thing that we're trying to create, they can't affect success. But some of our ancestors made the mistake of putting them in leadership positions, and that's when, we saw such.
So do you not believe money is power?
It depends.
On?
It depends.
I want you to define power as.
I said, do you believe money is power? And you said it depends. I want to know what you mean by depends.
It depends on if you give someone that power over you.
Okay, so let's and this is kind of far-fetched where I'm going with that. So let's say when people go to Shark Tank, I'm gonna use that as a parallel example, right? And they say, you're looking for an investor in your company to believe in what you have, right? And they say, all right, I'll give you $500,000 if you give me 5% of your business, right? In essence, while it's not a big percentage of your business, you still give them some leadership role, whether you like it or not. You still forfeited.
Okay. Now you're talking about a completely different type of an example that I'm talking about. I'm speaking about the type of person or the entity that's just saying, hey, I hear what you got going on. Here's some money to your cause. Bye. That's what I'm talking about. There are people like that. There are people that say, damn, you guys over here doing some gardening? I'll help you out. And I gotta go. May never see you again. But I did my deed for the day. Bye.
That sounds good, but if you taking, here's my money, right? And that they don't want no political back end from it, you're crazy to believe that. Anybody that puts...
I understand that. That's a different type of example that you're talking about.
I don't care how you put it.
You keep delving and painting everybody under that one...
Hold on. Shay, finish that thought so Ye can give you a full, complete response to it.
They not cash in right then and there, but they're going to cash in eventually. And it may be something like Eric said, very subtle, not something that's all up in your face, but doesn't mean that they're not going to cash in some way or another. Whether it be they go through an issue and now they're looking for that particular party to have their back on something, they're going to cash in eventually.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Listen, let's go ahead and kind of bring the temperature down in here a little bit. We're getting ready to move on to some final thoughts. But before I do that, I wanted to give Eric an opportunity to, just so the people know that he's not just some regular white guy, with dreads and tats, and he married a black woman. Go ahead and tell the people some of the things that you got going on in your life professionally now. We know that in the next few years you will be receiving your PhD. Kudos to that one right there, and in marine biology. So go ahead and let the people know a little bit about what it is that you're doing today professionally. So that you're just not just some regular white guy marrying a black woman. Go ahead, give him a lot. Give you a little opportunity to do that.
That's basically it. I got my AA from a community college, and then I spent 2 years finishing up my bachelor's up in North Florida in the Panhandle, and then I spent 3 years in Minnesota working for the Environmental Protection Agency out there. Research on toxicology and fish and stuff, and then I got this job. Not the job. I got a position, PhD position, 5-year paid position out here in Florida, in Miami, to continue my education. So there's definitely money in school, and so that's what I'm trying to get them at. And
Indeed.
Indeed. And so that's what I'm working on right now, doing that. I don't know. Is there anything else you want me to get into?
No, man. Like I said, the thing is, it's been a lot of talk. It's been a lot of finger pointing, a lot of grilling, right? And we haven't given you a chance. Like I said, we know a lot about me, DB, Anya, know a lot about your past and stuff, but the people don't. And I didn't want to leave this conversation off with you just having fingers pointed at you without people knowing a little bit more about what you've done. Like, it's not as if you are
with working in the community and stuff.
Listen, let's do that. Let me let you go ahead. Listen. Anybody here have a problem with allowing E to control final thoughts right here? Let him dominate final thoughts. Do me a favor, man. Take as much time, or take yourself a few 5 minutes or whatever, and go ahead and start talking about some of the stuff that you've done, man. Let the people know that you're not just a white guy posing as a black, struggle supporter. Go ahead.
Well, in Minnesota, I was helping at a community action out there. I was helping tutor for GED classes, so I could help people get the GED at a community action there. They also had a class in there ran by a guy named Xavier Bell. He opened a school called Family Freedom School, based on like the marches or the Red Summer back in Mississippi. And so he opened that up, and their whole thing was we teach unapologetically black. And then when I went in there and spoke with him, he asked me to sit down on the board and help him, decide some different curriculum and stuff to go on about that. He started opening up a charter school, and I helped him a little bit with that. Own a small T-shirt business, and so I donated all the jerseys to the Boys and Girls Club up there so they could have their soccer jerseys for the game one year, and then I donated a bunch of shirts for the Family Freedom Center again for the Juneteenth celebrations. I'm active in nowadays I'm active in a lot of stuff at school. I haven't found a lot of stuff in Miami to find my place to get into activism yet at, but we're working on something right now at school with a couple of grad students to make it more inclusive of black grad students, because there's not many at all, and it's a very bad topic. And we just went through second year I was there, we just went through Black History Month and didn't do anything for it at all. And they didn't even notice that it was like a thing out there at the school that I'm at. And so we're working on getting an organization together to help promote inclusivity of black grad students, because there's no support team there, right, amongst them. And so I'm just helping with that. It's being ran by a young black woman. She's awesome, but I'm just trying to get my support on that front. Besides that, again, I came from not the greatest neighborhood, and so now I'm going to school. And so what I'm also trying to do is be an example, uplift, have these people from my neighborhood see that there's another way to get out of the neighborhood instead of just rapping and playing ball and stuff. Because most people there, they're still doing the same stuff. They're still selling dope, all that kind of stuff. And so when I go home, I try to make sure that I be around the people so they can, at least see. Because growing up, I never had someone to show me that there was a different way out of the game, or whatever you want to call it, right? There were no people out there showing there's different avenues. And I continue to keep my dreads. I continue to keep my goatee, my dreads, for the spiritual reason I spoke for, but also for breaking of a stereotypical reason. I like to give conferences. I do give conferences in front of like hundreds of thousands of people from around the world, scientists, and I'm up there with my goatee, smiling and talking and giving my little talks and showing my little research and stuff like that. And and I'm helping. Well, I'm helping to break a stereotype that people that look like me can't get into college or succeed in higher levels that I've been able to attain. I'm trying to show a lot of the people back home and a lot of other downtown people come up, because when I was going to college, there was no one I could relate to. There was a couple of black professors, but they were all clean cut, tie suit, whatever guys, and I couldn't really relate to anybody there. So when you don't relate, you either vacate or you become the person that you want others to relate to, right? So I want to be that person. When other people come in, they be like, oh, shoot, he did it. He looked like that. Okay, I want to show people that you don't got to conform to achieve. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm on right now.
I got one follow up, because you're doing some things right now. So I want to, because we mentioned before the last time we talked to you, the privilege side of things, being white in this country and kind of, screwing up a little bit of your early years, being in jail, law enforcement issues, right? Doesn't necessarily disqualify you from finding a solid lifestyle here in this country simply because of your privilege, that comes with being white. So the thing that I was saying to you then, and I'll bring up to you again now, and let you talk about, because I know I find it difficult, is trying to be a positive black male to, other black males. It must be really fucking hard for you trying to be a positive, influence for people you may have grown up with, but still feel like, yeah, that's Eric. You know what I'm saying, to us, but to the world, they still see him as white with his privilege. So they'll allow him to go ahead and, have that little jail time, but still go get some education, still get jobs, put a fucking suit on, clean shaven, and, put a tie on, and they'll give you an assistant manager position anywhere. The different thing I like about you, brother, it says you jump on stage in front of all these fucking scientists, flaunting your gold teeth and your locks. And you telling these people, even though you're not, melanated, right? You're telling them, like, look, man, this is a look that I identify with, and I want to show you that just because you see cats out there with dreads or gold teeth, don't mean that they don't have something important to fucking say. But folks, look, we had a dynamite show. I'm glad my man Eric, aka Post Malone, decided to come back to the Reality Guru show and grace us with his presence. It's time for him to go, man. I got my man Ye. I got my man DB. Homegirl Feisty Shay. And E. Again, I appreciate you coming through. I'm G Cleve, Reality Gurus. Take care.